Okay, hello, long time no see. Here I am finally. If you're new to this channel, which I'm also new to this channel, my name is Megan and I'm an artist. Let me give you the quick TLDR on my life. In the last video I posted on YouTube, which was probably just a painting video, but I was still living in my parents' house. So since that video, I have gotten married, I had a wedding, I did Lightbox Expo 2024, and I did 2023. And I moved. So I finally moved out with my husband. We live here now. Yes, I'm trying to get back into this long form content situation. I'm only able to do that because I hired a video editor. Well, it's more like the video editor offered me. So I hired my cousin to help me with Emerald City Comicon. Here he is now helping me edit this YouTube video and making sure my ass posts content regularly. We're starting off strong in this video vlog thing by talking about Emerald City Comic-Con. Wow! During the time that I was not on YouTube, I had actually been doing a lot of smaller conventions and shows and like craft fair, art market kind of things. I do a lot of like Takumi Alley down in Orange County, Taste of Japan, which is like a 2-3 day event. I did Lightbox Expo, which is like my first like really big show for myself as an artist. I've gone to like Lightbox Expo, Anime Expo, Fanime, and blah 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 as either a helper, an attendee, but never as an artist for myself. Now that I have a few shows under my belt, I decided to apply out of state along the West Coast still because I'm like a weenie, but I applied for Emerald City Comic Con and I got in. Baby's first out of state convention, but still on the West Coast. Seattle is like a great place to start because I have some friends that live up in Seattle. I've been to Seattle, some other third thing. I was really excited to get in. We're documenting everything about this particular show because I was so freaking nervous about this one. Day 0 ultimately. I think it was the week before I was supposed to fly out to Emerald City, which is Wizard of Oz. I had shipped my boxes of inventory to Seattle since there's no way I'm gonna bring all this stuff on the airplane. So just like for any other convention, I started packing inventory, and packing inventory was pretty tricky since I've never actually packed anything other than some souvenirs or clothes for a trip, essentially. Packing for a convention outside of California where I had to fly to was an interesting learning curve. So I found out pretty quickly that the largest suitcase that I brought with me to my apartment, since I moved out of my parents' house, was not gonna cut it. So I asked my sister to bring the largest luggage that she could find in our parents' garage so that I could bring as much of my table display to make it portable as possible. I was traveling with seasoned veterans, Dustin and Sang, so hopefully things worked out, and it sort of did. So I shipped 6 boxes across the sea along the coast, all the way up to the Airbnb. I was freaking out because I found out that it was gonna arrive a day before I arrived there. That was the biggest fear in my mind, but you know, we just hope for the best. Since it was at a residence type Airbnb, I notified the host and he basically said, yeah, that's fine. They had no other previous reservations before us. The boxes were just gonna exist there in front of the front door. And I really had no idea what the way this neighborhood was shaped. So we're just gonna go from there. We were packing and then it was off to the airport. Let's talk about day 1. Day -1. We get to the airport at like 5:30 in the morning. Our departure time was at like 7. So we met up with our friends, Sang and Dustin, Sang Lam Art, Inkwell Illustration, and then my cousin, Izzy, Inari Woo Oo Oo Oo. Okay, so we went there with friends and cousin, and we fly to Seattle. So we make it there. I rented a car, so we picked up the car and we drove into town. Once we got into town, we make it to the convention and we start setting up. From 5 a.m. all the way through to like the early morning, we have been in 2 states, started setting up. Thankfully, all of my display stuff fit and was fine in my luggage, and the last minute backdrop things that I bought on Amazon like worked really well. I bought like a just a really cheap backdrop stand that came with clamps and sandbags that you had to fill with your own sand. So I didn't bring that because that'd be heavy. And I just used an old like 8-foot tablecloth that was just like a giant blanket. And then the display that I would usually put on my table, I used as like just an additional like logo for my backdrop. So that worked out really, really well, plus some fake plants. So that was cool. And sitting up next to Dustin was fun or whatever. He's pretty chaotic, but we're also kind of chaotic too, I guess.
Useless footage.
So that was fun. So after we set up, we went to go get lunch at the Dough Zone because my husband mentioned Dough Zone. Get in the zone. Dough Zone. Yeah. Checked into our Airbnb, and thankfully, because there was no other reservations before us, like the guy said, we were able to check in early. And get this, my boxes, along with Sang's boxes, arrived safely in front of the door. Wow, all of our boxes are blocking the... How are you gonna get in? And thankfully, because their property is kind of down some stairs, kind of hidden away from the main road, it was not at risk of getting stolen. Though, my biggest fear was it getting wet because it was totally raining a lot in Seattle. So after setup day, we met up with my friend, and he took us to a Japanese market to buy some snacks. And then he took us to a really nice tempura restaurant where we were able to draw on our desserts. So that was pretty fun. So during the trip, I got bullied into downloading Pokemon TCG game Pocket. TCG Pocket. Pokemon TCG Pocket. Get it right, Megan. Jesus.
No, you did it. You already... Okay. These?
Let's do this one. The
Smackdown. That's even worse, but it's fine.
Are you serious?
Worse than the whole game.
Okay, fine. I'll go back.
Pick the Mew one. How do you get to it?
I'm working on it.
Click it. Go ahead. Open 10. Real fan would open 10.
Okay.
Yeah, you need real money. Are you committed?
No, I'm not that.
I thought you had a YouTube lifestyle. Here we go. Yep. Open it right up. It doesn't matter. We're making content. Which one are you going to pick? The first one? So you know that it's bull. You knew the meta. Okay. Just swipe it. One go. One take Andy. That's a new one. You didn't have that one. Another common you didn't have? Interesting. Must be new. EX.
Suck it, Papa Panzino. I mean, all we do is constantly win, right? Day one started with Dustin both roasting me and then hyping me up.
Whoa. Whoa. How you feeling? Day one.
Feeling fantastic.
How you feeling?
Coffee.
I don't care. No one asked.
Since this was my first out-of-state convention and he was encouraging me to include as much footage as possible.
Damn, look at this art. This is the artist that you're watching right now. This is their art. Look at they make fish. Go onto their store and buy this fish. That they definitely have. www.buyfish.com.
Don't go there. Please don't go to that website.
Wait, is that a bad website?
No.
Let's find out live on this blog.
www.buyfish.com.
Wait, what?
It's a real site.
Well, there you go.
Shout out buyfish.com.
Not sponsored. After checking out www.buyfish.com, which is still not a sponsored website, we were slowly losing our minds because, you know, it's the first day, so it's pretty darn slow. So we spent a lot of time just kind of goofing around in the back and trying to stay sane.
Day 13, 2 a.m.
How's
We've
it
been
going?
here for days with no
I
food
wanna
or water,
die.
no sleep.
It's only focus. And then we decided to get dinner at Howdy with our friends and artist friends. Yes, Papa Panzino. Thanks, Papa. Yes. Since I helped him cut out some displays last minute. he owed me a Howdy, so that's where we're at.
You want me to help you or no?
No.
Okay. Do what feels right to you.
God, Mom.
And then we went home to our Airbnb. Okay, so then now day 2 rolls around and this is a Friday. My sales had been pretty slow but good for a Thursday and hoping for better on Friday. Spoiler, it was the same as Thursday. So we're at consistent sales so far. So Friday was, we were already struggling at this point. After flying, setting up, day 1, now day 2, kind of back to back to back, we were already super exhausted. And we were only halfway through the weekend. Struggling and goofing off as per usual.
TikTok famous!
Alright, do it again. Holy moly, that's so good. You're you got a whole crowd right there.
Wow. Oh man, this guy stinks.
Day 2 was just a riot because it was just so darn slow in the first middle half of the convention. Because we were placed all the way towards the back corner, kind of like an L in the back corner, we got some foot traffic for people who were exploring the entire show floor and kind of get yoinked into the corner. People don't want to walk all the way that deep, so they don't come there, or they'll just go there later in the later days. Because all of our booth things and displays in the back were kind of close together, we were also trash duty. So anyone who needed to throw away trash, we just kind of assisted with that.
Can you put this in the trash?
Yes.
Can you put those in the trash?
Oh my god.
Dissatisfied.
Is it confetti? Can you believe this Italian man?
Pizza pie. Wait, we're supposed to be getting pizza?
So one of the things that I shipped with me in my inventory were my bags. And I made shopping bags for Lightbox Expo. They are these green bags that have printed green foil on them, and they're absolutely the best investment I ever made. They're a little pricey to make, but it makes for great advertising. And I had a lot of people come up to me later in the weekend saying, hey, I saw somebody with your bag on the escalator. I wanted to find you up here in Artist Alley, and I did, and I'm so glad that I did. So the bag strap. I saw one guy with my bag attached to the side of his hip, and I thought that was so big brain. That was the coolest thing I saw all weekend. But Emerald City Comicon was pretty cool. The entire upper floor where I was completely Artist Alley, the writer's block, and then some additional things that I didn't get a chance to walk to. And then downstairs was all the exhibit stuff. So thankfully, my table helper, Izzy, went to go grab some B-roll from downstairs, and also kind of a way for me to see what the convention was like without actually having to go down there, because it was so freaking crowded. I was so surprised at how crowded this convention got. I've been to Anime Expo a gazillion times here in Los Angeles, and that place gets shoulder to shoulder in that big old convention center. So while this convention may not be at the same scale as AX, it was still pretty busy for what I had anticipated in a Seattle convention. I heard from the locals that this is one of the bigger conventions that they host at the Seattle Convention Center, so it did not disappoint as far as turnout is concerned. As far as sales is concerned, well, we can talk about that later. But it was a very crowded show, and that was quite a pleasant surprise. So as the weekend continues, the theme is Bully Megan with trading cards as I struggle to open a pack. Cut to me doing the pack. How do you open this? You just this
Use your man hands. Now you're gonna look like a little bitch on this vlog.
Who opens trading cards with scissors? You gotta do Pokemon. Yeah. What'd I get? Who did I get? Bolt, out of order. Bucky, Penny, Lady, Bolt again, Sven, Phantom Blot, Kuzco, Wild Tiberius Rourke, Merlin. Ooh, Ooh, Calhoun!
Not what I wanted.
And we were hoping to pull either one of his cards, since he is an artist on Lorcana, or one of his friends' cards. But they paint like rare cards or whatever. So he bought an entire box set and didn't pull any of his or his friends' cards. But here, check out his work here. I'm sure you're already familiar with his YouTube channel. That guy's kind of cool or whatever, and really made this weekend pretty fun. Him and his fiancé Sang, who is an absolute sweetheart, angel, baby cakes. I love you, Sang. So my cousin cosplayed as Daisuke the entire weekend, which was amazing because it brought a bunch of people to my booth, and he was also really good at selling my fish.
Yeah, I did all these cards. Locally sourced, homegrown, wild-caught, organic, fresh fish, pasteurized, unpasteurized. No kids. You gotta be yoking me. These prices are excellent.
Dustin and Izzy duked it out quite a bit over the weekend.
Oh my god. Beaten by an Italian man. Pizza pie. Italian man.
Okay, guys, day 3. Wait, it's day 4.
Day 4. We make it to day 4 with as much energy as we can muster possible. We're pretty socialed out at this point, and we're just trying to get through the final day of the convention. For a 4-day show, this was pretty long, but really fun because I did make a lot of new friends. So the day goes on. I make a bunch more sales because the people with 4-day badges did circle back to my table to make their final purchases. I actually did the best on Sunday as far as sales are concerned, and that really surprised me because the last day is usually the slower day and the Saturday is usually a busier day. Thursday, Friday, Saturday at this show were very consistent, very even. Saturday actually being my worst day, maybe because it was so crowded and shoulder to shoulder. People were just kind of being like carried through the aisles and nobody could really stop, otherwise they're just like messing up the traffic of the aisle. That kind of like hurt sales a little bit. So Saturday was my worst day, but Sunday I broke $1,000 in that weekend. It was ridiculous. I made the most money on that short Sunday because the show ended a little bit earlier. The show started from 10, but they opened for VIPs at like 9:30 a.m. So we had to be ready by 9:30 a.m. all the way and close at, I believe it was 7 p.m. was when the show ended for every day. Except for Sunday, I think it ended at like 5 or something. I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. So yeah, so day 4 wrapped up pretty good, and as soon as the show ended, we were tearing down like right away. I didn't get much footage of them, but we were sitting next to VVBG Comics.
100% organic cotton tote bag by VVBG. I actually don't know if it's 100% organic cotton, but anyways.
Ash and Michi are absolute angels, and I love them so much, and I was so sad to say goodbye to them since they live across the country. So that was awesome to meet them. Dustin was right next to me on the other side, so like I saw him. We're gonna see him like next week or whatever.
Organic cotton. You.
So that's fine. But we made a lot of other friends, and Dustin introduced me to a lot of other artists that he also conventions with, and like people we stayed with at the Airbnb, Babs and Chance and Lena and Dave. It was lovely to meet everybody that I did on this trip. Cleaning up was a breeze, kind of, because not only did I sell a bunch of stuff to make room in my suitcase, I also bought a bunch of stuff to fill up that space real quick. So my luggage was over 3 pounds heavier than the maximum for my check bag, but the guy was nice and didn't charge me and was like, yeah, 3 pounds over, whatever, just get it in there, just make sure it's under 50 pounds next time. I only had to ship 1 box back versus the 6 that I shipped to the place, so that was amazing that I didn't have to ship a whole bunch of stuff back. I was worried I brought too much, but I was able to condense and consolidate because I also didn't want to bring too little, because while it's awesome to be sold out of something, that's money on the table that you're losing, the next person that wants the thing. So if you had more of it, it's better to bring extra, is what I learned. Unless you have to ship it back, and then that's money that's lost on the table. But in any case, the trip was really really fun. We had to go back to Los Angeles. Boo. Seattle was so gorgeous. It makes me consider moving and uprooting, but also I couldn't do that because my life is so attached to the city down here in Los Angeles. So there's that. Both mine and my husband's careers are pretty like deeply rooted in this town. So, you know, it's not the worst problem to have. Anyway, we fly back to Los Angeles. I've never deplaned out the back, so that was pretty interesting. And then we parted ways with Dustin and Sang as we end and conclude our journey for this convention vlog. Final thoughts? It was really fun. Would I do ECCC again? In a heartbeat, because not only do I get to go to one of the most gorgeous cities in the West Coast, I get to see some high school friends that live there, and also I get to meet with other artists that fly in for that show up in the Pacific Northwest, and it's just so much fun. I think the local community in Seattle is great. I'm so glad that I got a chance to vend there, and I know and I heard from others that this is actually quite a tricky show to get into. I've heard that some people, they got in and then they didn't get in for the next consecutive however many years, and then they finally get in again. I lucked out in that this was my first time applying and then my first time getting in right away. Typically, I'm really bad at applying to shows and stuff like that. I usually forget, it's usually past a deadline, or I'm just not in the loop when applications are out. So I really lucked out with this one. So very much a beginner's luck kind of situation. I got a video editor out of this trip, so that's kind of amazing, and hopefully that means I'll make more content moving forward. I hope you liked this video, and let's see if I make another one. Okay, bye.